With Lululemon, the real gift happens when they're living in it. When you give the fan favorite everywhere belt bag, the real gift is... And when the ultra-soothing rest feel slides are the gift, you're really giving them... This holiday, Lululemon makes it easy to give little luxuries that go beyond. Open the moment. Shop now at Lululemon.com.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
The holidays are back at Starbucks, and there's so much to share. With classics like Caramel Brulee Latte, Peppermint Mocha, and Chestnut Praline Latte, we're celebrating everyone's flavor of festivity. Order yours in the app.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Jacob Minter. Yeah, good job with the shot, and the Slough Jets have taken the lead on the power play. With 20 with the shot for a goal. No need for the save from Lordo, and Campbell finds himself in, and it's 3-1 to the Johnson Chieftains.
Hello and welcome to Zero Pucks Given, the UK Ice Hockey Podcast. Although we're not just a podcast, we are a one-stop media shop for the NIHL 1 South and beyond, doing live game updates, live stream commentary, and hopefully eventually live streaming ourselves. Firstly, I'd like to tell you about our partners, starting with Hockey Art Co, who create hockey-inspired clothing that is so creative and artistic and excellent quality too. With all sorts of clothing items for on and off ice, listeners to the ZPG network get a 10% discount on everything from hockeyartclothing.co.uk when you use the code ZP10. We're also in partnership with Manscaped, the globally recognised male grooming brand that have top-of-the-range products such as the Lawnmower, the Weed Whacker, the Beard Hugger and the Dome Shaver Pro. These products are out of this world. I use them myself. They're waterproof so you can use them in the shower. They have ceramic blades so no cuts or nicks. And the Lawnmower also has a light which is very handy for those hard-to-see areas. Plus, super fast charging and a long run time make these the best wireless shavers on the market. You can get 20% off everything at manscaped.com when you use the code ZeroPucks20. And finally, we are part of the Sports Social Podcast Network, the biggest sport podcast network in Europe, hosting over 500 podcasts from more than 20 different sports. And we're thrilled that the ZPG network, including Zero Pucks Given and ZPG Ice Maidens, is a part of it. So hello, welcome along. This is episode 132. I'm Ben and this is Zero Pucks Given. A massive thank you to everyone for listening to last week's Roundup episode, as well as both the Sean Reynolds episode, which was absolutely terrific, and the men's mental health episode, which was very well received as well. I've received some lovely messages regarding the work that Andy's Man Club are doing right now. There's some great comments on the YouTube video as well. And this coming Saturday, actually, going with more sort of, charity stuff, Invicta Dynamos are doing their teddy bear toss on November 23rd in aid of Demelza House Children's Hospital. So don't forget your teddies if you're attending the Dynamos game versus the MK Thunder at the Stables, which is also Kids for £1, maximum of 4 children with 1 paying adult. So all for a good cause, terrific value for money as well. The Slough Jets are back in action this week after the tragic and untimely passing of Harry Hatfield's 3-year-old son Tyler. With Harry and Michaela's blessing, a GoFundMe has been set up to help the family financially after this tragedy, and that has already reached a £10,000 target, which is just mind-blowing, and I'm sure a source of comfort for the whole family, as this will enable them to give Tyler a funeral and ensure a fitting send-off for his legacy. 7 fixtures this week, then, including the MK Thunder versus Oxford City Stars game, which I missed out of the fixtures in last week's episode. Thank you to Mark for pointing that out. If I do get anything wrong or there's something you don't agree with, let me know. Your feedback is absolutely invaluable. So as we do where we can, we start with the early face-off. So this meant an AM departure for the Cardiff Fire as they head to face the Devils. Well, out of the fire and into hell. Well, not quite hell, but as far south as you can get for a UK hockey rink. And as usual, the 5 p.m. face-off. The game got off to a lightning-fast start and the home side took the lead when some bad feelings were exercised after the previous fixture between these two at the Vendico resulted in a highly controversial sussy for Solent player Mark Pitts, who got the go-ahead goal when he was assisted by Lackey on 1:22. They doubled their advantage quickly when Mark Pitts went unassisted to make it 2-0 on 3:33. A familiar pairing make it 3 for Solent when Murray assisted Kane Russell, who made it 3-0 on 8:31. And a nightmare opening 10 minutes was completed for Cardiff when Cloutman assisted Travis Penny to make it 4-0 on 9:10. Shepherd called time out for the Fire to stop the influx of quick goals for the Devils. However, the Fire found themselves on the kill when Stevens sat for slashing on 14:54, but they killed it off and the score remained the same. Into the second, and the Devils stretched their lead early on when Russell assisted Mark Pitts for his hat-trick to make it 5-0 on 2:07. The home side found themselves on the kill when Coleman sat for cross-checking on 24:23, and the Fire used their man advantage to pull one back when former Solent Devil Llewellyn assisted Bailey Hine Pitcher to make it 5-1 on 26:15, power play goal. Almost straight from the restart, the Fire unsettled their hosts as they notched a second when Fox assisted Aaron Moody to make it 5-2 on 26:51, and when Banner headed to the box for slashing on 27:55, the Devils produced their most important penalty kill of the night, and after returning to full strength, made it a 4-goal game again when Ryan Sutton went unassisted to make it 6-2 on 33:30. After the goal, Davis sat for abusive official for the Fire on 33:37, but the visitors held their nerve and it stayed 6-2. Sutton received a charging penalty on 39:09, so the Devils will start the third on the kill, which they managed to do before Russell and Pitts assist Liam Coleman, who makes it 7-2 on 43 flat. Then a raft of penalties as Llewellyn sat for Cardiff for slashing, followed by Murray for Solent for holding, plus a Fire holding penalty and a Price penalty for the Fire. But with everyone even-handed, the Devils moved further ahead when Pitts and Coleman assisted Kane Russell with his second of the night to make it 8-2 on 53:05. From the restart, Buckle assisted Harry Harkup, who made it 9-2 on 53:27. And the scoring was completed when Murray and Pitts assisted Liam Coleman for his second on 55:49, making it a 3-3 game for man of the match Mark Pitts, certainly laying down his marker for a second consecutive Solent Devil winning ZPG Player of the Week. Bailey Hine Pitcher takes the award for Cardiff. For Solent, it's a trip to the Oxpens. For Cardiff, a one-game weekend. And after the defeat on the South Coast, Fire player coach Ellis Shepherd gave his thoughts to ZPG.
Quite a disappointing weekend. We only had the one game against Solent on the Saturday. I thought our first period we were unlucky to go 4 goals down. Credit to Solent, they know how to play the rink very well. I didn't think we needed to change much from the game plan from that first period. We were getting plenty of looks and opportunities. Their goalie stood on their head as well in that first, and I do think we were a little bit lucky to go 4 goals down straight away. The second period, plenty of positives. We looked like we could compete. I thought we had the better of the possession, the better of the scoring opportunities. Ultimately, we drew the period 2-2, but I was really happy with our performance in that second. And our third, unfortunately, like the story of the season, we can't seem to close out games at the moment. It's a case that I don't know whether we take our foot off the gas or we're just psychologically not ready to compete for that full 60 minutes. It's frustrating, and ultimately Solent ran away with the game as well. It's something that we need to address as a collective, and we addressed it a little bit after the game as well. We all do sing from the same hymn sheet as well, and 10-2 isn't really a reflective score of our ability, and it's something that we need to put right, and we will put right.
Saturday also saw the Invicta Dynamos head to the high road to face the Streatham Redhawks, a game that last year saw two extremes after one game saw the Moes take a 3-0 shutout win, and another game saw the game abandoned after 20 minutes due to a mass brawl, so truly no idea what awaited us here. A fast start saw the home side apply early pressure, but go on the kill early after a too-many-men bench penalty on 2:26, which the Redhawks killed off, but immediately went back on the kill when Steed sat for cross-checking on 4:32. where the visitors took advantage and took the lead when Connolly assisted Tom Saw to make it 1-0 on 4:45 power play goal. The lead didn't last long, however, as the Red Hawks hit straight back and levelled when Gregory assisted Ethan Lane to make it 1-1. The visitors retook the lead when Dynamo's attacked, seeing Scott assisting Tom Saw for his second goal of the evening to make it 2-1 on 13:45. The Moes then had to kill a Colvin cross-checking penalty, but the visitors held their lead to the buzzer. Into the second, and Invicta had to kill a Burnett holding penalty on 24:31, as well as defending non-stop attacks from their hosts. But when Connolly was boxed for cross-checking on 33 flat, the Red Hawks pulled themselves level at 2-2 when Jared Lane went unassisted with the power play goal. And from the restart, the Red Hawks turned it around when Harvey Stead assisted Ryan Watt to make it 3-2 on 33:38. Streatham thought they'd stretch their lead further when a goalmouth scramble saw the puck go over the line, but the officials waved it off for a man in the crease infringement. The Red Hawks did, however, move further ahead just before the buzzer when Luke Brittle scored unassisted on 39:49 to make it 4-2. In a bit of a melee, Burnett received 5 for fighting for Invicta. As the third got underway with Invicta a man down, the Red Hawks scored again when Beasley assisted Harvey Steed to make it 5-2 on 41:19, before Baird took a slashing penalty, giving us a period of 4-on-4, which on the big pad at the high road meant more space, which the Red Hawks took advantage of as Beasley assisted Jared Lane for his second to make it 6-2 even-handed on 42:37. After Baird had returned, Invicta still had the remains of the Burnett 5-minute major to kill, but conceded again when Jordan Gregory scored unassisted to make it 7-2 on 44:27 power play goal. After calling time-out, Moes, Paul Winterbank and Deval enters the play, and there was a bit more fisticuffs when Callum Worthy and Ethan Lane got physical, resulting in both receiving 5 on 46:23. Just before they both returned, the Red Hawks scored again when Norcliffe and Jared Lane assisted Danny Inglesby to make it 8-2 on 51:14. Stretton then killed a Watt slashing penalty before finishing the game off with a second goal of the night for Luke Brittle, assisted by Jared Lane and Doughty, making it 9-2 on 57:05. Worthy and Jared Lane take them out of the match honours. For the Dynamos, they return home to face the Slough Jets, but after that one-game weekend saw the Red Hawks score 8 unanswered goals to take the win. Player coach Ben Painter gave his thoughts to ZPG.
Yeah, obviously playing Victor Saturday night. It's always a good crowd on a Saturday night, and I think there was a real good buzz around the rink, and especially in the room. I think we were excited to play and excited to get going, and yeah, I felt like we were going to start really well. Unfortunately, we took a back-to-back minor penalties early in the first period, which realistically zapped all our energy, took all the wind out of ourselves. I think at that point we had a good warm-up and we were starting well. So bit of a shame, but it is what it is. Obviously, Invicta scored on one of those power plays, making it 1-0. It was a nice goal, actually, a really nice shot. And then, yeah, we managed to tie it back to a 1-1, which I was pleased with how we reacted off the back of that. Get it back to 1-1, and then we managed to concede again, make it 2-1, which ultimately was a funny goal, really. It took a funny deflection, ended up in the back of the net, which it kind of a bit fluky and kind of summed up our first period and how our first period went. So we regrouped in the intermission, spoke about some things that we needed to change, and ultimately got back on track to how we wanted to play. And we knew that Invicta had travelled with a short bench, and we knew that if we had just hemmed them in and sort of keep skating, keep working, be physical, we would ultimately put ourselves in a good position to win a hockey game. And I think starting the second period with a 5-minute power play really sort of sealed the game for us. We obviously scored a couple of power play goals on that power play. It's good to see the power play starting to produce, and yeah, from that point on, we didn't really look back. I think we had a really good 40 minutes of hockey, and we dominated most of those 40 minutes. Had a lion's share of possession, and you know what, Invicta worked hard, but with only 13 skaters, I think in the end you could tell that our depth in our bench really sort of saw us to win that game. And although it was a 9-2 game, I wouldn't say that really reflected the game. I think we had to work for that, and I think ultimately we were pretty clinical on the night, and yeah, I was pleased with how we played. Obviously go on to play Slough at home next Sunday as our next game. It's going to be another big test, and yeah, ultimately we need to find our feet a little bit earlier and play a full 60 minutes of hockey to get the result we want. So, but I'm pleased. We're going in the right direction, and yeah, we just got to keep chugging along.
The Jets were back in action after last week's tragedy, and after some heartfelt tributes were paid on the night to remember Tyler Hatfield, the game got underway and the Jets took the lead early when Kyle Bradburn went unassisted to make it 1-0 on 6:08. From the restart, the home side pressed again and scored again when Minter and Harmon assisted Kyle Bradburn for his second goal of the night to make it 2-0 on 6:43. A minute later, the goals continued when Miles and English assisted Christian Moore, who made it 3-0 on 7:57. The Jets, firing on all cylinders, completed with the first with a fourth goal when Bradburn and Soper assisted Dylan Holliker to make it 4-0 on 18:17. Into the second, and the Wildcats went on the kill when Burnett was called for holding on 25:36, and just after returning to full strength, Slough moved further ahead when Holliker and Soper assisted Harvey Harmon to make it 5-0 on 27:45. On 30:07, Clark sat for the Jets for interference before being joined by Warren for roughing for Swindon on 31:01. With the teams at 4-on-4, in the 33rd minute, the Jets scored again when English assisted Kyle Bradburn for his hat-trick goal on 32:09. After Swindon killed off a Harding boarding penalty, they were on the power play when Harmon sat for tripping, but with the man disadvantage, Christian Moore assisted Luke Smittle, who finished the scoring and made it 7-0 on 37:27, short-handed goal. For the Wildcats, it's a week to lick their wounds as the Jets will head to the stables to take on the Invicta Dynamos. The final game of Saturday night saw the Oxford City Stars make the 1-hour cross-country trip to Milton Keynes to face the Coronado Research Thunder, both with sizable rosters which neither have really been used to. The game started on a bit of a frantic note. This fixture has been known to be a bit of a hotly contested derby in recent times, and the visitors found themselves on the kill early doors when Austin received 2 for hooking on 3:34, but the Stars hold strong for the full 2 minutes. As play continued, the Thunder players ensured that Parsons knows anything he spills will be cleaned up as they pressured the Stars goalie. The home side then went on the kill when Smith sat for 2 for hooking on 7:37, but the Stars failed to get their special teams rhythm going, and the Thunder kill. On 11:21, there were more penalties for both sides. Covey and Barrow slashed after a cross-check from Smith, saw all three get 2 minutes, Covey and Barrow for roughing as the Stars go 4-on-5, before they went 5-on-3 when McGarvey was boxed for boarding on 11:42. The Stars pinned the Thunder in and took the lead when Beckett fed Williams, who set the puck back to Jack Peacock, who fired high into the near side top corner from the top of the left circle for 1-0 on 12:50 power play goal. With still 52 seconds of power play time left, the Stars continued to push, and when Beckett and Hemmings-Mayer worked the puck across the O-zone to Jack Peacock, his near side attempt was blocked, but he collected the rebound and beat Hickman on the wraparound to make it 2-0 on 13:27 power play goal. Thunder goalie Kieran Hickman then had an issue that saw him leave the ice, replaced by impressive youngster Caleb Sheehan. On 18:18, McGarvey sat for Thunder for elbows, but when Robinson won the draw in the defensive face-off, Hickman was able to keep the puck behind the goal, draw some Oxford players in, and then release a pass straight up centre ice to Hayden Hagger, breaking between 2 D-men and beating Parsons to make it 2-1 on 18:37, short-handed goal. Before the first was out, Harrison took a penalty for Oxford, meaning we start the second 4-on-4. Into the second, and after McGarvey returned to the action, he and Hagger laid on the assist as Sean Reynolds powered into the offensive zone and wristed an arrow top corner from the top of the right circle to bring the Thunder level at 2-2 on 20:41 power play goal. The home side then killed off successive penalties with a fair chunk of 5-on-3 after Smith and Davies were boxed for slashing and holding, but when both returned, the Thunder completed the turnaround when McCluskey and Robinson fed Charles Coney in the slot, who stick-handled away from the D-man before sniping past Parsons for 3-2 on 25:17. The Stars killed off a Bundy and Peacock penalties before conceding again in the final 2 minutes of the period when Hagger and Purcell fed Xander Robinson, who went down the left of the offensive zone and finished very smartly on the near side, making it 4-2 on 38:30. The Selly leaving a little bit of afters with Sam Robinson, causing a bit of a melee in the corner that saw the Oxford man get 5 for fighting, along with MK's Coney getting 5 for fighting, and after rushing in and pummelling his way into the bundle, Morgan Parsons received 5+ game for fighting, meaning Kayla Poole comes into nets, and will surely see Parsons missing a game or two. Into the third, and the feisty tone continued as Purcell and Hemmings-Mayer took 2 each for roughing on 41:58, and from the offensive face-off win by Hagger, Josh Hickman fired through traffic and passed Kayla Poole to make it 5-2 on 42:22 power play goal. On 47:30, Davis was boxed for tripping, Thunder called their time out, but when the game resumed, Kiru won the draw for Oxford, back to Chris Beckett, who fired the puck home glove side past Caleb Sheehan to make it 5-3 on 47-33. The home side again applied pressure, and after good work behind the goal from Reynolds, he found Charles Coney, who swept home from the left circle to make it 6-3 on 50-50. The Thunder had to kill off a couple of penalties in the final 10, but held on to gain their first win of the season that they have worked so hard for. The Sunday game will see a different challenge for the Thunder as they head to Chelmsford. For the Stars, they will return home and welcome the Solent Devils. On to Sunday, and we start in Gillingham as the Jets headed into the Dynamo's backyard, fresh from their win over Swindon, but missing Timo Lindgren, Seb Moore and, of course, Harry Hatfield, among others. As the game got underway, the home side found themselves a man down early when Stokes sat for tripping on 4:55, and the Jets took full advantage straight away when Christian Moore assisted Luke Smittle to make it 1-0 on 5:25, power play goal. Slough had to kill off 2 consecutive penalties for Clark and Soper, but the score remained 1-0. Into the second, the Jets nearly doubled their lead when they hit the pipes early on, but Slough had another penalty to kill when Smittle sat for holding on 22:07. The game remained cagey with neither goalie being overly tested, and the score remained 1-0. Into the third, and the home side pulled level when Thune assisted Callum Burnett to smash in the equaliser, making it 1-1 on 40:52. Whilst the game remained tight, it always felt like the Jets had extra gears, and they hit them when they retook the lead, as English assisted Christian Moore to make it 2-1 on 56:09. From the restart, the Jets pushed again and scored again within 50 seconds when Smittle assisted Jack Goodchild, who made it 3-1 on 56:59. With 2 minutes to go, the Moes pulled Windibank to force a way back into the game, but it was settled when Cole and Goodchild assisted Luke Smittle with his second goal of the night into the empty net, making it 4-1 on 58:07. And despite a late Minter tripping penalty, the Jets held on for the 6-point weekend. For the Dynamos, it's another weekend without a result, but as always, it's honest and defiant from Invicta head coach Carl Lennon.
Tough weekend for us to swallow. We had, first off, a game in Streatham on Saturday, which, of course, was a tough game. I thought for 35 minutes of that game, we were in a good space. We were tied, I think, on the scoreboard, and we matched them in most departments up until that point, and then we took a 5-minute major penalty, which obviously changed the course of the game, and Streatham took advantage of that, scored I think 5 power play goals, and after 2-2 up until that point, you're then far behind where you need to be, and you really can't give a team like that any room to manoeuvre, and we did. And ultimately, that was the end of the game. We had good spells during it. We had some good scoring chances. We had good net minding from Brad for the time that he was in net with us, and of course we just got picked apart and got tired as the game went on, and it's super frustrating because we started very well, and like I said, we felt like we were in the game up until that point in time. Obviously we had to dust ourselves down and look to a different team on Sunday in Slough, who bring a different type of energy to the building. And obviously, first and foremost, we send our deepest respects to the whole family at Slough, especially to the Hatfields. Obviously, it's a horrible moment for them, and we send nothing but love to them. And the minute's applause was immaculately given on Sunday, and the game itself was of course tense. For the most part, it was very even through the first, really up until the last 4 minutes of the game, where we were 1-1 on the scoreboard, and the guys played fantastically well. I was very happy with how they put themselves about and how they competed, and we didn't get the luck at the end. Slough took a goal sort of seemingly from nothing out of the corner, and obviously that just killed us with a few minutes left to play. I think they scored very closely then afterwards, and then they got the empty net at the end, and it felt very unfortunate because I think for the most part of that game we were it was one of our better performances actually, and it's just a shame that we couldn't get the deal done. So we have another 2 games this weekend coming. Milton Keynes on Saturday at our place, and then we're off to Chelmsford on Sunday. So the boys will have to dust ourselves down and get ready to go again next week.
Sunday also saw the Devils visit the Ox Pens as they're also in search of a 6-point weekend, and it got off to a flyer when Kane Russell's pass across the crease deflected in and ended up giving the Devils a 1-0 lead on 1:09. From the restart, the Devils pressed again and doubled their lead when Cackett and Penny assisted Connor Hutchison to make it 2-0 on 2:12. The Stars called timeout early, fearing the game would slip away, and the home side got on the power play when Wedge was given an illegal equipment penalty on 3:52, and the Stars managed to force the first save from Rory Martin-Edwards but were unable to get on the board. They had a brief period of 5-on-3 when Cackett sat for slashing on 5 flat, but the Devils killed both penalties. After the halfway mark of the period, the Devils extended their lead further when Pitts and Penny assisted Kane Russell for his second goal of the game, making it 3-0 on 12:42. The Stars then had to use all their defensive prowess as they defended a 5-on-3 after Harrison received 2 for interference, quickly followed by Hemmings-Mayer for high sticks. Into the final seconds of the first, and the Stars were on the kill again after Harrison was boxed for hooking on 18:36. Into the second, and the Harrison penalty killed, both teams found themselves in penalty trouble when Russell got 2 for holding, and the Solent bench received 2 for unsportsmanlike conduct, as Harrison was given 2+2 for holding and cross-checking, and then a bench minor for Solent for too many men. But with all penalties killed, the Devils moved further ahead when Pitts assisted Leo Harris to make it 4-0 on 28:01. Austin took a high sticks penalty for the Stars on the halfway mark, but after killing it off, they pulled one back when Peacock assisted Alex Tidings to make it 4-1 on 33:48. Late penalties for Penny and Kobe, but we finished the second as a 3-goal game. Into the third, and the late penalties killed off, chances were coming at both ends. The home side went back on the power play when Pitt sat for slashing on 49:36, but the Devils killed it off and then had a chance themselves when Kobe sat for charging on 53:47. On 53:59, Murray and Robinson both sat for delay of game, and after everyone had returned, Tidings assisted Joe Covey, who made it 4-2 on 56:04. The Stars pushed from the restart and made it a 1-goal game when Tidings assisted Jack Peacock to score against his former club, making it 4-3 on 56:57. Devils called timeout to refocus, but in the final minutes, Russell sat for charging, followed by Pitts for slashing, and when Oxford pulled Miller, they had a 3-man advantage on the ice, but were unable to take the game to OT, and the Devils took the 6-point weekend they were looking for. For Oxford, it was so near yet so far after a better performance on the Sunday. Head coach Mark Saunders gave his thoughts on the weekend to ZPG.
Back to double headers for the Oxford City Stars this weekend. We made the trip to Milton Keynes Thunder on Saturday evening for the 7 o'clock face-off. Bit disappointed with our discipline on Saturday night. It kind of let us down, and as we were trying to get back into the game, the game became kind of littered with penalties, and we just fell foul of that. And unfortunately, that stopped us really pushing back into the game. I liked our first period. I thought we were in control, and we just like I said, fell foul of the penalties, and we ended up getting penalised more than we should have done. But we put ourselves in bad spots, and we've only got ourselves to look at on that one. So that was a frustrating one on Saturday night to walk out of there with a loss. But we learned from our experiences on Saturday night, and then on to Sunday we had a home game against the Solent Devils, a team that we've met twice already this year. So welcoming them back for their second game at the Ox Pens. I thought we started slow again, which is something that we're looking to address, and we're trying to address at the moment to make sure that we're starting on time. And after that, we tried to get ourselves back into the game. We slowly clawed away at the game in key moments. We started to make better decisions and really push the tempo. I thought that we started to execute our systems really well. A bit of a tactical change to try and get a bit of a push on against that team, and we just ran out of time at the end. Unfortunately, if we'd have started, at the opening buzzer, I think the outcome could have been quite different. And likewise, if we'd have played for an extra 5 minutes, I think we would have probably caught that game up and taken it to overtime as a minimum. But lots of learning opportunities for us this weekend, and this group is learning and are really up for the challenge, as I've said, week on week. Really positive room. Everybody was upbeat last night with the way we were able to push in the third period, and I think collectively the group is is pleased with our third period last night. So busy week coming up in practice, and then we make the trip to Swindon away on Saturday, and we host Milton Keynes this coming Sunday. So another huge weekend coming up for us as the games come thick and fast. One final thing to say, we honoured young Tyler from Slough, Harry and Michaela's young son, who tragically passed away. Thoughts, feelings, condolences from myself, the team, and everyone at Oxford City Stars sent over to everyone, Harry, Michaela, and little man over there, and everyone involved in the Slough Jets organisation. We honoured a minute's applause for him last night, which I thought was observed immaculately by both teams. So thoughts and feelings sent over to those guys, of course, in what's obviously been a very tough week. So big week for us coming up, and we get ready for another double-header weekend next weekend.
And in light of that 6-point weekend, Alex Murray was in buoyant mood.
Yeah, double-header weekend this week against Cardiff and Oxford. We started up at home against the Cardiff Fire. Been a long time since that team have come to our rink, and as I mentioned previously, 10 years ago, that was a little fun rivalry between the two teams, and they came ready to play. They had a big squad with them, and it was great to see Joe Llewellyn back at Solent so soon after his departure. And it was a pretty good game. I think the guys came out the blocks pretty quickly and got into a good lead, and we never really looked back. I don't think it was a game where we kept scoring. I was a little bit frustrated at the goals conceded. There was a little lapse there in the second period where guys just went to sleep, and that sometimes can happen when you get into a good lead after a really positive first period. We were able to roll the sort of guys and get guys in, and 2 sloppy goals kind of give them a bit of life, but realistically overall was really happy with the performance that kept going. We were able to rest some guys, and good to see Leo Harris back in the lineup after a long injury sustained in Cardiff actually. So that was nice. Then on to the Sunday. I think Sunday was all about just making sure that we try and put 2 games back to back, and I think we haven't been great at that this year. And 2 goals in the first minute, I think just made us a little bit too relaxed, I would say. And whilst we completely controlled that game, I think going into the third, the shot count must have been 45-10 or something close to that. We didn't score enough, nowhere near enough. And Miller in goal had a great game, and that said, we weren't clinical. We had countless power plays, we just weren't finishing, we missed easy opportunities. But I think the guys just stayed kind of too relaxed because we were never really out of control. And then all of a sudden, into the third, and it's 4-1, and really that could have been 6-7-8-1, 10-1. It wasn't, and they get 1 goal, and the crowd at Oxford get behind them, and then we make a disastrous mistake in our own end, which brings it to 4-3, and then we end up finishing the game on a 5-on-3 penalty kill with the goalie pulled, and that is something that we're just going to move on from. Could have been disastrous. It wasn't, and I told the boys at the end, we relaxed too much simply. And credit to Oxford, they didn't give up, and they could have after 2 goals in the first minute and being 2-0 down. I just think some of our guys just maybe relaxed too much, and we stopped putting the puck in the net. We tried one too many passes, and it almost came back to bite us. But again, it was nice to see that Leo got his first goal for the club, which was the game winner. Rory back in between the pipes for his first game in a few weeks, played really well, and yeah, it's 6 points. So we just move on from it. I'm sure Oxford will be galvanised by that late comeback, but ultimately how we put the puck in the net on one of the 50 plus shots that we had or whatever it was, that game is nowhere near as close as it was. But as I mentioned, credit to Oxford for hanging in there, and that's what you do. If you keep games close, you score one, momentum switches pretty quickly, and we've avoided a banana skin there kind of thing. So yeah, on to the next 2 games against Slough, and we haven't really played well against them yet, but ultimately if we do and we get a result against Slough in the next couple of weeks, it keeps us in it, and we're really excited and looking forward to it.
The final game of the weekend saw the MK Thunder head to Chelmsford, and off the back of their Saturday night win, started very confidently and restricted the Chieftains to half chances for the first 10 minutes. But once a couple of goals flowed and the home side proved deadly on the power play, they run up a 16-1 scoreline with Mikey Power getting 4+4 assists, Sasha Maltsev, Grant Bartlett and Cam Bartlett with a brace each, Dylan Dix also with a brace, including the goal of the night with a howitzer from the blue line, Alan Lack with a coast-to-coast beauty, Tom Ravenscroft finishing off a well-worked goal, plus junior players Eden Rolfe and Sam Vettel-Higgins on the score sheet, Jarrah Vigar pulling one back for the Thunder, who owed the scoreline really to Craig Bradfield and Caleb Sheehan, who both performed terrific under high pressure. The confidence will, I'm sure, stay with the group after Saturday's win, a win they truly deserved. I've watched the Thunder more than any other team apart from Chelmsford this season, and the ingredients are all there, and when it does click, it's pretty good to watch. A sentiment echoed by their head coach, Will Fry.
Bit more of a positive one this week for us. Obviously, I'll start with the game on Saturday, and yeah, it's can't really work out whether it's a feeling of relief or a feeling of redemption or what it is really, but it's just great for us to finally get that monkey off our back and get that win. It was a scrappy game, and actually I don't think it was really up there with some of our best performances this season. I think the first period we were very sloppy, we didn't manage the puck very well. Two silly penalties again, let Oxford get a 2-0 lead. But I think the key with it was that we managed to maintain control of ourselves and ultimately get back and get a good response and get ourselves back in the game in the second period. Traditionally, over the course of the season, we struggled a lot in the second period, especially against the stronger teams where we're getting penned in at our own end a lot and struggling to get a change. So we managed that second period really, really well. Just went back to basics, really, and the guys started to find their feet a little bit, and it was nice to see us shooting the puck on net more and being confident in trying to take our chances and getting numbers forward as well. And obviously, as the game went deeper, you know that it's always going to get nervy. You're chasing down that first win. You've got a young group of guys. There's not a huge amount of experience, at least not winning experience at this level in that room. And it was good that we overcame it together, really, and got the job done. So, full credit to Oxford. I know that they were struggling a little bit bench-wise, and they've had their difficulties this season. I was talking to Mark about it on Saturday. We had some conversations over the course of the week, and yeah, it's they're in a similar boat to us in terms of their aspirations for the year, and it's going to be a good series at least for us. We can play against each other, which we've got away next weekend, and then we'll have another game against them after Christmas. So good support from them coming down. We had a great crowd in as well, which obviously helped the team. And yeah, it was just I think it was a good result moving forward that's going to bring a lot of confidence to our group getting over the line and knowing that they can do it. So yeah, delighted with it. Couldn't be happier, and hopefully we'll start to pick up a few more now as we run into Christmas and then maintain that in the new year. But obviously back to reality today away at Chelmsford, and it's one of them. It's not a game that you ever go down to and look to try and get a result. I think for us today, we had some players missing from yesterday that picked up some knocks and availability issues, and we had Craig Bradfield come back after a little extended break, and we've had to manage his minutes with an injury that he's been carrying and not wanting to rush him back too quickly in a game where he's going to face a lot of shots. So split the net between him and Caleb Sheehan, and Caleb obviously had a great game yesterday, probably not expected to play as many minutes, well, not expected to really play at all, but poor Kieran Hickman's suffering a little bit at the moment. He can't seem to get anything going his way. He had the sickness problem yesterday during the game and had to rush out, and Caleb came in and got the job done for us. So yeah, it's goalie situation's good. We've got 3 goalies that are starting to find their feet now. It's given us a bit of a selection headache moving forwards. I was quite pleased with how we played again 5-on-5 today against Chelmsford. I thought we were a lot more proactive than last time out when we went down to the Riverside earlier this year. Although the result was worse, I actually think we played better, and it was good that we didn't just try and camp in and keep them out. We were trying to attack the whole game. We were getting the puck forward, looking to get numbers forward, looking to get a full 5 set up in the offensive zone when we could, and obviously that means you run the risk of being picked off going the other way, and it happened a few times. But I'm not really concerned about the result. We're just going to look to ride the wave of yesterday into next weekend, and Invicta on Saturday will be a game that we're looking to go down and avenge last time out, where Kieran unfortunately got injured and JB had to go into net, and hopefully we can pick up where we left off at the end of that first period, where it was a very competitive game, and maybe, you never know, pick up some points there on Saturday, and then Oxford away on Sunday, where hopefully we can get another one over them, and all of a sudden we're starting to get back in touch with the rest of the league table, and then that 8th playoff spot, potentially higher, comes into play as we roll into Christmas and into the New Year. So yeah, we're in a great spot. Very happy to get the win, but still details and moving forward and learning. That's our objectives for the next few weeks, and we'll see where it takes us. But yeah, appreciate all your support. Appreciate the messages that people have sent and some of the comments that we've seen online. It's definitely a weight off the shoulders for everyone here, but we're not done yet. One win's not enough for us, and we're going to keep looking for more as the season goes on.
And after the game, Chieftains head coach Lewis Clifford gave his thoughts to ZPG.
It's a home game this weekend for us against MK. We know how these games go, following similar patterns to previous meetings between us. They came in, they had plenty of players. I think they had probably the same amount of players as us, like 3 lines. Maybe we had 1 or 2 extra bodies, I'm not sure. And we saw that they had Bradfield back in the net, and he has given us a couple of frustrating nights over the last 2 years, certainly, that I've been with Chelmsford. He's a very good goalie on his day, and we've struggled to put a puck past him in previous meetings. And it did take us a while. I think Thunder came out and they actually looked quite well organised, and they were keeping us mainly to the outside and stuff for maybe the first 10 minutes or so, and then sort of like the dam was broken, and then it kind of went 1, then 2, 3, 4 quite quickly, so 4-0 at the end of the first period, and power play was clicking when it got out there. I think the first 2 power plays we scored on them, and then the second period kind of the same. We were not going through the motions, but we certainly don't want to engage in anything or get anyone injured, or when we're sort of in a lead as we were. I think it was 8-0 at the end of the second, and ultimately end up running out 16-1 winners. Games are tough like that, but it was nice to see some of our younger players get plenty of ice and score some goals. And Sam, that we've been using from the Warriors recently, got his first ever Chieftains goal, which was a really nice moment, and all the boys were really happy for him. So back to the drawing board now for us. We play Invicta at home on Sunday. I am expecting them to come in and see a bit of a reaction from them following the results they had over this weekend. So, games between us and them are always tight, toughly contested affairs. So, looking forward to that on Sunday, and then we'll be into December before we know it. So, thanks to everyone that came out, and thanks to Will and the Thunder guys that came up and gave us a game. Well done on their win on Saturday, and hopefully that's the sign of things to come for them. But for now, I'll see you guys next week.
Well, that's it. Another weekend all rounded up. So let's have a look at this.
Hi, it's Justin Wong, Kenny Wu from the Muddy Ducks, presenting Zero Pucks giving Britton Division Player of the Week.
Player of the Week then. Massive shouts to Mikey Power with 4 and 4 for Chelmsford. Jack Goodchild with 2 and 4 for Slough. But this week with another 6-point weekend, scoring 3 and assisting 5. This week's Player of the Week heads back to the South Coast and Solent Devils' Mark Pitts.
Whoa, Black Betty, bam-a-lam, whoa, Black Betty, bam-a-lam, Black Betty had a child, bam-a-lam, the damn thing gone wild, bam-a-lam, said a word not a mind, bam-a-lam, the damn thing gone blind, bam-a-lam, I said, oh, Black Betty, bam-a-lam, whoa, Black Betty, bam-a-lam.
You can really see that rhythm the Devils have got going now. It's going to make for some incredibly competitive games coming up in the Britton Division. One special shout out before we move on to TJ Anderson, who was not only selected for the GB Under-20s this week, congratulations mate, but also became the first and only player in history to score 100 points for the Raiders and for the Buccaneers. So some true Romford folklore created this weekend. Absolutely fantastic stuff. So let's have a look at the fixtures for next week then. For Saturday the 23rd of November, Starting with that game at the Stables, Invicta Dynamos against Milton Keynes Thunder, a 5:45 face-off. Don't forget, it's Tosser Teddy night and kids for £1, so jump on the Dynamo social media channels to get the link for your tickets there. 6:30 face-off on the Saturday, the Slough Jets host the Solent Devils. What a game that's going to be, both teams in fantastic form. Swindon Wildcats host the Oxford City Stars in the League and Cup at 6:30 at the Link Centre. And 7 p.m. at the Vindico, Cardiff Fire against Romford Buccaneers. They come back after having a weekend off. On to Sunday, the 24th of November, and 4 games there as well, giving us 8 in total for the weekend. 6 p.m. at the Riverside, Chelmsford Chieftains versus Invicta Dynamos. Always a tight game, should be an absolute cracker. 6:15 at the Ox Pens, Oxford City Stars against Milton Keynes Thunder. Of course, you know, that return fixture from this weekend. The Thunder took a result at the Thunderdome. Can they do it in the Ox Pens? 6:30 on the Sunday sees the Swindon Wildcats host the Romford Buccaneers. Those games have been tight so far between those two. That's League and Cup. And in the League, at the High Road, Streatham Redhawks against Slough Jets. The game at the Hangar a few weeks ago was absolutely fantastic, finishing 3-2 to Streatham. Let's see what that brings this Sunday. Of course, all 8 games will be covered in next week's episode of Zero Pucks Given, when we round up everything that's gone on in the Britton Division. Let's have a look at the table then after this week's games have all been completed. Top of the tree, 17 games, 12 wins, 1 overtime win and 4 defeats. 38 points for the Solent Devils. In second place, 4 games less to play. They've played 13, won 12, lost 1. 36 points for the Slough Jets. In third, the Streatham Redhawks played 12, won 11, lost 1. 33 points. In fourth place, Chelmsford Chieftains played 13, won 10, 1 overtime win and 2 defeats, 32 points. In fifth, the Romford Buccaneers played 14, won 7, 1 overtime win, 1 overtime loss and 5 defeats, 24 points. In sixth, the Invicta Dynamos played 2 more games than the Buccaneers, played 16, won 7, 1 overtime loss and 8 defeats, 22 points. In seventh, the Swindon Wildcats, 2 games in hand on Invicta, but 9 points back. They've played 14, won 4, 1 overtime loss and 9 defeats, 13 points. In eighth, the Oxford City Stars played 16, won 3, lost 13, 9 points. In ninth place, the Cardiff Fire played 13, won 2, lost 11, 6 points. And in 10th, but finally off the mark, played 16, won 1, lost 15, 3 points. The MK Thunder are off the mark. They are no longer the only side in the NIHL structure not to have won a game, and they thoroughly deserve their win on Saturday night. Well, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us for this roundup of all the action from the weekend. Don't forget, of course, to check out our partners at Hockey Art Clothing, Manscaped, and the Sports Social Podcast Network. The most recent edition of ZPG Ice Maidens is out there now. That came out on Saturday and has all of the action from the WNIHL in this country. We also released over the weekend that we're going to be doing something incredibly special in the first week of December. We're going to be doing a dual cast, which I will have to check. I'm not even sure if it's been done anywhere before. But we're going to be dual casting on Zero Pucks Given and ZPG Ice Maidens, as we have a very, very special guest. We've not revealed who they are yet because we haven't got our press photos. But once we do, we will reveal exactly who it is. We did tease their career path earlier. An Italian player that's played in Canada, played in Italy, and is now playing in the UK. So we're really excited that myself and Adam Mackman together will be speaking to her, and that will be in the first week of December. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, if you missed any of the episodes from last week, they're all available still on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, and everywhere else that you find your podcasts. Don't forget to check out our partners. Check out the link tree on our social media where you can find the ZPG merch store, where you can get hoodies, T-shirts, beanie hats, and even coasters, all with Zero Pucks Given logo on it. And we do still have some helmet stickers. If you'd like some helmet stickers, make sure you send me a little DM, and we'll sort out getting some stickers out there to you as well. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.